Pisces, we're going to go ahead and get a how are you being viewed in love currently reading. So let's go ahead and get in. Spirit, how is Pisces currently being viewed in love right now? We have the Hierophant coming through here. So you're being viewed as somebody who could be, have a strong moral compass, or somebody who values traditions, morals. You are somebody with a high moral compass is what I'm getting. So some of you guys could be married or seeking higher levels of commitment is what I'm getting. Some of you guys could be spiritual or religious. You don't have to be, or have strong traditional values. It's getting somebody who believes in commitment. Okay, you're a committed individual. It's like when you're going to be in a relationship, you're looking for higher levels of commitment, or you are somebody who, you know, values marriage, right? Like maybe you're the type of person who values marriage. For some of you, you guys could have like, some people could be viewing you as somebody who's a little bit indoctrined. Maybe you have a certain belief system, something like that. Maybe some of you guys are family oriented, things like that. Okay, but there could be some people who view you as somebody who could be indoctrined to believe a certain way. So maybe it's like once you get married, you only marry once, that type of thing. Or you see things very black and white. So it's like if you're not going to be in a relationship for marriage, then what's the point? You know, you could be viewed in that type of way. Okay, some of you guys could be have like strong political views. Maybe you believe in traditional roles. So again, there could be something about people viewing you as somebody who maybe believes in like gender roles and things like that. Doesn't have to make it accurate, right? But you come off that way, or you sort of give that vibe. So maybe you believe in, you know, gender roles, or maybe you believe in like the divine feminine role, the divine masculine role, this type of thing. Doesn't matter who's the feminine, who's the masculine. Maybe you just have some sort of traditional way about you, some sort of traditional belief system. Okay. Even if you're in like an unconventional relationship, it doesn't matter, right? You just maybe have those certain roles, right? You could be the type of person who there's certain guidelines and rules that you sort of follow when it comes to relationship is what I'm getting. Okay. Yeah, people view you as somebody who, it's like when you commit, and it's like you're going to hold to your word. You know, your vows ring true to you. So again, even if you're not married, it's like when you say you're going to do something, you keep your promises. Okay. People could view you as the type of person who, it's like when you date for commitment. Okay. So higher levels of commitment, something like that. Okay. Tell me more about how Pisces is being viewed in love. We've got the Ace of Wands here. Some people could be viewing you as you're very attractive. Okay, some of you guys have a really strong like spiritual connection, or it's like you are highly connected to source. Okay, some of you guys could believe in like a higher power, things like that, is what I'm getting. But it's like some of you guys are very spiritual, or very like religious. Okay, I'm getting highly spiritual, but religion can play into this factor too. People find you to be very attractive, exciting, optimistic, fun. So there's a certain side of you that's very committed, but you still bring an element of passion or excitement or fun to a connection, is what they're telling me. You could be the type of person who like keeps things fresh. is always keeping things fresh, always doing something new, exciting, something like that. People could view you that way. People could view you as somebody who's a go-getter, somebody who's usually like an initiator. So it's like when you're attracted to something or when you want something, you're probably going to go after it. So you could be the type of person who makes the first move or initiate something, get something started here. I feel like that is a like attractive quality to you, is what I'm getting. So it's like you could be the type of person who it's like even once you get into a connection, it's like it's like, say you're in like maybe you believe in long-term connection or something like that, right? Like you're in it for the long term, something like that, but you still bring an element of surprise to the connection. And so things just don't have a tendency to go stagnant or get old with you. People view you that way. Like on the outside looking in, people believe that, yes, that is somebody who, you know, is committed, but they're still going to bring a lot of, a spark, fire, passion to the connection that's going to help to keep things fresh, exciting, new. Okay. You could be a highly motivational person as well. So you could there could be something about you being motivational to the people that you connect with. People also see you as somebody who could be like some sort of guru, is what I'm getting. So maybe some of you guys have a lot of knowledge or wisdom surrounding relationships, or it's like there's something about you that's very inspiring. So if you're in a connection, it's like that is an inspiring connection. So that may be the type of connection where it's like, it never dulls, right? It's never boring. At least people view it that way. And it's like people feel like they could go to you for knowledge or wisdom or advice on relationships because somehow you're making something work here, is what I'm getting. There's a spicy sort of element to you, is what I'm getting also. So again, try to keep it PG here, but definitely you bring some sort of spice to the connection. Always keeping things sort of spicy is what I'm getting. Always willing to try new things, take the initiative. People find you very attractive. So you could even be the type of person who is like, even after you've been with somebody for quite some time, like you're still, going to take the necessary action or steps to keep yourself in shape. Maybe you work out, maybe you, your physical appearance, or something about your physical appearance that people really like, so it's not boring. There's something not boring about you. It's not dull, right? You could be the type of person that likes to go on adventures, travel, try new things. Okay, tell me more. And you could be the type of person who motivates, like I said, motivates people to work towards higher levels of commitment, or you could be the type of person who motivates like your partners, things like that. So I just heard you make being in commitments look fun or seem really exciting, is what I'm getting. So this feels like outside people, okay? This could be like an outside perspective on you in relationships in general. It's like you make commitment look fun. You make commitment look exciting, something like that, okay? How else is Pisces being viewed in love right now? Some of you are being viewed as somebody who's been through the trenches, the absolute depths of hell, is what I'm being told. You're the type of person who can be betrayed 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, over and over and over again. But it's like you're not the type of person who's just going to give up. It's like, again, something about keeping things fresh, maybe willing to start over if you need to, is what I'm getting. There could be some people who kind of view you as being like again, with this Hierophant and the Ace of Wands here, I'm getting a bit of a hypocritical type of energy, because I'm getting maybe a walking contradiction. Maybe it's not hypocritical. There could be some people who think it's hypocritical, but what I'm getting is it's like you may have these traditional ways about you, but I'm also getting an energy of you being a bit of a adventurous type of person as well. So that's pretty contradictory. You might be the type of person who's willing to try new things in the bedroom. You could be willing to do things a little bit differently, but still you hold some sort of traditional value surrounding it. So there could be people who think you're a bit contradictory, is what I'm getting. Also, you look like the type of person who has been through hell and back, okay? You've been broken down before. There could be some people who view you as somebody who's barely sort of holding it together. Yeah, you definitely look like somebody who has been stabbed in the back a couple times here. And there's definitely some damage that's been done. Okay. Tell me more. And that's what I'm talking about. That could be part of like why people see you as somebody who, it's like once you commit, you commit, or it's like once you stick to, say you stick to your word. It's like once you say you're gonna do something, it's like you end up doing it. Or it's like maybe you have strong traditional values. It's like if you marry once, or if you date, it's for marriage, something like that. And it takes a lot, like you're willing to put up with a lot, is what I'm getting. Betrayal after betrayal after betrayal after betrayal. And some people could wonder, like, when is enough is enough? Like, how many times do you have to be hurt over and over and over again for you to pick yourself back up again? But you have this ability to pick yourself back up in situations. Okay. All right. Tell me more about how Pisces is being viewed in love right now. You are being viewed as somebody who values quality over quantity. I think I've said this before in these readings, so you're continuing to look like that type of energy. You could be somebody who is viewed as having maybe potentially high standards, or, you know, maybe hold yourself to a certain standard. Okay, maybe you have high standards, or maybe it's a perception that you have high standards. Maybe it's like there's an energy of you being very high up. It's like hard to meet your standards, or it's hard to meet you where you are, is what I'm getting. It probably requires a lot of work to meet you where you are, especially with this Hierophant and the Eight of Pentacles. Some people could view you as somebody who has mastered a certain side of yourself, okay? You may have like this brick by brick mentality. Some people could view you as somebody who's a bit of a perfectionist, but you don't have to be. I think you just hold yourself to a certain standard, and maybe there's this element of, I think it's being perceived as like high expectations, okay? I feel like people are viewing you as somebody who has been betrayed over and over and over again, and therefore maybe you have high standards, or you've risen your standards. It's like, okay, I'm not going to deal with anybody unless it's for commitment and nothing else. You definitely look like somebody who's going to give 110% to the connection, if you feel like it's worth it. Do you see what I'm saying? If you feel like it's worth it. People view you as somebody who's very, very attractive. You have a lot of really amazing like relationship or love qualities to you, because how rare is it anymore that you actually genuinely find somebody who's wanting commitment over just a friends with benefits or a fling? And how rare is it that you find a connection that could be so committed but then have this element of passion to it too, right? Like you definitely bring an element of passion to love, and that is a beautiful thing. Unfortunately, I was getting something about it not being boring, so it's like you could be with somebody for a long time and it's like you're going to keep things fresh. You're always elevating, always working on something, always trying to work on the connection, always doing things that you can do to try to elevate yourself, elevate the connection, things like this. So I think you're being viewed as somebody who it might be hard to meet you where you are. Maybe you have high standards or maybe high expectations, or you know what I mean? But here's the thing is, like, when people go through their sort of checklist of what they hope for or want in a connection, it's like you sort of check all those boxes. But then in the same aspect, people don't know that they would meet your standard, right? Now, I'm also getting an energy of like, okay, so you could be the type of person who like does value commitment in some way, or maybe you have some sort of more moral compass to you or something like this. And so you could be the type of person who it's like you're viewed as somebody who dates to marry or dates for higher levels of commitment, something like that. And but it could come up again as a little contradictory, because there's this element of like, if you date, maybe it's like you may know, like, if something's, you may be the type of person who kind of knows if something's worth investing into very quickly into the connection. So say you're single and you start dating somebody, and obviously you have some sort of intention in mind, right? And that could be, okay, I'm looking for higher levels of commitment in some way, shape, or form. And so you may know right off the bat whether something is going to be a fling or if something is going to end up being worth investing into or worth building off of, something like this, because I'm being told that you are somebody who builds with intention, and when you care about something, you typically take things slow. But you may, like I said, you may be the type of person who it's like, yes, you have some sort of experience dating, right? And so you could be the type of person who it's like you either have long connections with people, longer connections. Maybe, long, quote unquote, is going to be different to everybody. But I'm seeing the number 8 here. So it could be like 8 months, 8 years, something like that. Or you could be the type of person who it's like you date, you go on one date, and then it's kind of like meh after that. Like maybe you just hang out one time, and then after that it just sort of sizzles out, right? And so that could be where that sort of like contradictory or hypocritical energy is coming from, because I'm not really getting hypocrite. I'm getting more contradictory than anything, because it kind of goes against what you stand for or what people believe that you stand for. So it's like, okay, if you're dating for commitment or higher levels of commitment or something more here, then why would you only go on one date with that person? Why would you hook up with that person one time and then not? And it's coming from a place of, I feel like you can just tell right off the bat whether something is going to be, you can read energy really well. I feel like you're highly connected to source, okay? And you may be able to pick up on energy really well, very quickly, very easy, pick up on the vibe of a connection really fast. And you're just going to know, right? You're just going to know if this is, something that's dead on arrival, or if this is something that is worth, building off of here, right? And so, again, you could be the type of person who has like longer connections, or connections that are like quick, right? One date, we didn't talk again after that. Or, you know, we hung out one time, we talked one time, whatever. It didn't really get off the ground. Something like that, right? And it's like, you just kind of knew. Well, it wasn't really gonna go anywhere. I didn't see it getting anywhere past sort of like this fling energy or this passionate energy. And, you know, yeah, I'm open to fun. I'm open to new things. I'm open to exploring, but, you know, I'm not going to give it too much of my time, effort, or energy if it's not worth, you know, so something like that's coming through. Tell me more about how Pisces is being viewed in love. How is Pisces being viewed in love? You are being viewed as somebody who is very patient, very tempered, doesn't take things to one extreme or to the other. Okay. You could be a very sort of centered individual. Now, you could also be the type of person who, like I said, you're not going to take things to one extreme or the other. It's not like you're going to like go all in or not invest at all. It's like I feel like you're going to give, you know, it a good attempt. Maybe be willing to dip your toes into the situation, try it out, test it out. But you're not going to be the type of person who just goes away giving your energy away freely to people. Okay. So you could be that type of person who it's like, and I've said this before, you could be the type of person who it's like, okay, like, you know, yes, I date for higher levels of commitment, or that's sort of like what's on my brain. Like that would be the goal, right? That would be the intention. But I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to be doing things to one extreme or the other. It's not that I'm not going to put any effort in, right? I'm definitely going to be, you know, moderate here, right? And but I'm not going to be the type of person who like hands you my wallet after the first couple dates. I'm not going to be the type of person who's like willing to pay your bills after one date. I'm not the type of person who is going to go and, you know, do all your laundry and clean your entire house and do all the things that typically happens in maybe a traditional relationship, or, you know, gender roles and things like that. If, you know, I'm going to take my time with things, right? So I'm getting an energy of somebody who's like really willing to wait for something before they just go giving everything away to somebody. You could be in an energy, being viewed in an energy of somebody who's very protective, okay? Some people, I'll be honest with you, some people could view you as being like quote unquote cheap. So especially if you're like a masculine, you could be viewed as somebody who is cheap. Now, if you're feminine, you could also be viewed as somebody who is quote unquote cheap. And what I'm getting by this is like, say in traditionally, right? Since we've got this traditional energy that's coming out here, you could be the type of, traditionally, maybe the masculine pays for the first date. You could be the type of masculine who's like, I'm willing to go half with you, halvesies, right? Let's, you know, something like that. Or you could be the type of, if you're a feminine, maybe you're the type of person who's like, oh, I'm willing to pay half, like it's not a big deal, right? So you could be like a half and half type of person. Let's not take anything to any super like sort of extremes. Or maybe you pay for one date, then I'll pay for the other. Or maybe the first date that rolls around, it doesn't have to be, maybe if you're a feminine, like it doesn't have to be the most expensive, you know, first date. Like it could be something where it's like, again, my mindset is on long-term commitment, something that's maintainable, something that is sustainable, right? And maybe recognize that, you know, the first date doesn't always require somebody to have to spend the most amount of money to prove something, right? So you could be very sort of adaptable is what I'm getting. You could definitely be somebody who's very sort of adaptable. You know, hey, let's go to, you know, that little bar and grill down the road. You know, that would be like an amazing, you know, date. Let's, you know, there's something about quality over quantity again. So it doesn't mean that it's like there's no quality behind it, but, or quantity, quote unquote, numbers behind it, but you definitely, it doesn't really seem like you are somebody who's unwilling to compromise or takes things to one extreme or the other. It's not like it's going to be the cheapest date, but it's also not going to be the most expensive date, right? something like that. And vice versa, like you're not going to be overly upset if it's not the most expensive date, and you're not going to be whatever. I feel like I'm going on and on about that, but that's what I'm getting. You're very middle grounded, very sort of tempered, patient, willing to compromise. Because what I'm getting is that it's like maybe some of you guys have this mindset of like, okay, it's not really a sustainable thing if somebody's always having to prove. And so the only thing you have to prove to me is your character, the quality of person that you are, right? It's not about what's in your wallet. It's not about, having to prove something out of a place of insecurity, or, is what I'm getting. Now, people who oppose this, like I said, could view you as somebody who's like maybe a quote unquote cheap individual. So this could be somebody saying like, oh, he's so cheap. He literally took me to the cheapest restaurant and then wanted me to pay half. Like, that's ridiculous. Okay. Or it could be, oh, she's a cheap date. I didn't even have to take her out to somewhere super expensive, right? For, I didn't really have to prove nothing there. But like I said, for the ones that matter, it's going to be an energy of like, this person's very patient, very centered, very balanced. They're not going to take things to one extreme or the other. Okay. And that's a really beautiful quality. And unfortunately, another rare quality in today's dating pool, today's dating scene is, what I'm getting. You could also be the type of person who, likes to meet people in like a more traditional way, or you could do things in a more traditional way. So it could be like, okay, maybe you could try to meet people in a more traditional way. So what is a more traditional way? That could be like whatever's traditional to you. Okay. Okay. You could definitely be viewed as somebody who's very centered and in control as well. So you could be the type of person who's not going to, there could be attraction there, but you have a moral compass. So you may be the type of person who's not going to be super like all over somebody, but you're also maybe not the type of person. So I'm getting like first date vibes, right? So you may not be the type of person who's going to be like super all over somebody, but you're also, not going to be that person that's like completely get the hell away from me either. It's going to be this happy sort of medium is what I'm getting. There's something, it shows in your body language is what I'm getting. So there's an energy of being kind of conservative. You could carry yourself with a lot of grace, or be somebody who, is more conservative. So maybe you don't show it all, bear it all to somebody. Okay. You could be the type of person who's very, very considerate of your person. And so again, if you're going to be going on a date or going out and doing something, maybe it's out to eat, you may be the type of person who considers like what that person likes to eat, or considers their interests, or keeps their interests in mind when it comes to, how you're gonna approach the situation, right? There's an energy about you of being somebody who is like very calming. So you bring a lot of like this, the aura that you bring to a connection is very like calming or peaceful. So you could help people like with their nerves or something like that. Okay. Tell me more. Laid back, cool, calm, collected. There's something like that that comes through. So you help people sort of like open up a little bit is what I'm getting. Not be so dense is what I'm getting. Okay, so tell me more about how Pisces is being viewed in love right now. How is Pisces being viewed in love right now? You could be viewed as the type of person who responds very, very quickly. Like you're really excited to get to know this person, and there's something that you really, when there's an interest there, there's a spark there. You could be the type of person who responds very quickly, or like maybe you have longer text messages, or it's like you might be the type of person who, texts back immediately or something like that. And it's like, it shows a certain level of excitement or interest that you have. But I'm getting this energy of somebody who it's like, okay, you may respond very quickly, or you might be the type of person who it's like, there's incoming communication. But you still have an element of mystery to you. Okay, so again, something about not really bearing it all, or something like that. You still leave something to wonder about, so it's like somebody doesn't know what to expect, or you're kind of unpredictable in that nature, but still showing a certain level of curiosity or interest, which is really fun. And it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. Yeah, there's something about sort of like reading between the lines. So it's like, yeah, like you may respond with, a lot of communication, or maybe there's some sort of exciting communication that happens, but you still leave something to wonder about. You're being viewed as somebody who moves forward in a connection because you're trusting your intuition. Okay. Tell me more about how Pisces is being viewed in love. We have gratitude. So you could be the type of person who expresses a lot of gratitude. You could be the type of person who's like really appreciative of somebody's time, effort, or energy is what I'm getting. It says, I am grateful for many things in my life that bring me joy and comfort. The angels want you to remember that if you just pause and think for a moment, you might just recognize that you have so much to be thankful for, no matter how small these positive things might seem to be. So you could be the type of person who expresses gratitude a lot. You could be the type of person who says grace, like especially if you are somebody who's super religious, like you'd be the type of person who says grace or says bless you, or, thank you. Things like that is what I'm getting. But you could also be the type of person who just expresses a lot of gratitude or graciousness towards people. There's a lot of people that are grateful to have you in their life, is what they're telling me. Whether you're in a relationship with that person or not, a lot of people are grateful for the experience, grateful for the lessons that you taught them, is what they're telling me. So you could be the type of person who definitely teaches a lot of lessons. Major spiritual lessons is what I'm getting. So again, something about guru vibes, even if you aren't, right? You have a lot of knowledge and wisdom surrounding relationships. Okay. Okay, so for some of you, and this is not going to be for all of you, I am getting an energy of some of you who could be prone to being attacked, quote unquote, for being like maybe a bit of a player or something like that, or having like a certain side of you, okay? Certain side of you. People could say it's like promiscuous or something like that. It doesn't have to make it accurate, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's something very like contradictory about you. You know, it could just be a lot of things that people say are very contradictory of you and like your character and your morals and how you show up, you know. Tell me more about how Pisces is being viewed in love. We have intuition. So again, somebody who's highly, highly tapped in, very intuitive. You can be the type of person who has like a, you know, sort of telepathic connection with your partner or people that you are, you know, entertaining, something like that. You could be the type of person who has a very sort of silent or intuitive connection with these people. It says, I trust my feelings and my insights. Your angels are sending you signs to help validate your intuitive hunches. The next time intuition alerts you to something, listen closely, realizing that it is your angel guiding you to something great or leading you away from something. And that's what I'm saying. You could be the type of person who you could be viewed as somebody who moves very quickly when you feel guided to do that. But you could also be the type of person who moves away very quickly when you feel guided to do that. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to get anything sort of past you. You're very intuitive. You can pick up on, you know, secret ulterior motives, I want to say. You can pick up on ulterior motives. You can sort of read between the lines in situations. Hidden agendas. It's like I said, it's pretty hard to get anything sort of past you. Some of you guys could be tarot readers, okay? You don't have to be, but some of you guys could have some sort of link to esoterics, okay? There could be something about you that sort of indicates that, even if maybe you haven't been open about it. So there could be something about you that sort of indicates that. They could see something, or something, you could mention something and it could have them, it could make them believe that you're into some sort of esoterics or something like that, okay? It's really hard to get anything sort of past you. Tell me how else this Pisces is being viewed in love. You could be viewed as somebody who hooks people. That's what I'm saying. You could have this hook about you that a lot of people are kind of envious of. I'm going to be honest with you. So, and you can have a tendency to have people sort of attach themselves to you or become sort of addicted to you, is what I'm getting. So you could be the type of person who has people, like say you're dating somebody, you could end up having like people sort of coming back, messaging you, trying to communicate with you in some way here. So it could seem like there's always somebody trying to talk to you, reach out to you, something like that. But I'm getting this energy of like you just have this way of sort of like hooking people, drawing people in, something like that, and it's almost like they become addicted to you or addicted to your energy. Some of you guys could really be prone to like toxic relationships as well, or toxic low vibrational people is what I'm getting, or just people that are seeking something, right? You guys also, don't know why I'm getting this, could be prone to people that are like, have fetishes or kinks and things like that. Okay, you could have those yourself. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's as long as it's sort of like a consensual thing, right? But you could have this way of just kind of hooking people in. It's like they can't get enough of you, or it's like they, you know, people also think you have like a freaky side to you. Okay, they're like, yeah, that's the one. That's the one. You got to watch out for that one, because that's the closet freak, or that's the one that has sort of like these hidden kinks and things like that. People just assume that about you, okay? Doesn't make it accurate. I don't know. But yeah, you really have a way of hooking people. Yeah, it's almost like where people just sort of like submit to you, or it's like they become powerless to you in some way. It's really interesting. Yeah, where it's like they just sort of like fall head over heels, and like some people could wonder if it's like some sort of trap or something like that. It could be a misconception or something like that. Yeah, it's like people sort of get entangled in you. Do you see what I'm saying? People sort of get tangled up in some sort of, and people could have a tendency, you could be prone to a lot of jealousy, arguments, people competing for you, people fighting over you, stuff like that. Or there could be jealousy or drama surrounding your connections, okay? People just get hooked on you, and it's like out of nowhere, you know? Like, this will be the type of people, this will be like exes and shit that, like, it's like they'll just be going about their day and then randomly pop into their head, and it's like they're all internally fucked up and conflicted, is what I'm getting. But even if this isn't like exes and things like that, it could be like people just have a tendency to get really hooked on you, like from the start, right? It's like they just fall head over heels for you. And even if they feel like it doesn't make sense, or it's brand new, or you know what I mean? It's very easy to become, some people could feel like they're like loyal, like what I'm getting is that it's like it could be outside people saying that people are loyal to you to a fault, right? There's also an energy about you where it's like some people could view you as somebody who gets them hooked, and then it's so contradictory because there's this non-committal energy with the Fool. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense, does it? You could have like a very playful or childlike energy to you, is what I'm getting, or somebody who's just very carefree, nonchalant. You're just sort of like going wherever the wind takes you. But that's what I'm saying. People just sort of fall for you. And then it's like as soon as they do, it's like they're just hooked. You're going to be one of the hardest things to break free from. You could really be prone to people like competing, getting jealous, arguments starting, too many cooks in the kitchen. You could be prone to situations like that because it's just something about you. You know, you do have a tendency to make people a little bit nervous with your cool energy. People think you're cool and very mysterious and alluring. There's something about you that they feel like they can't have. Like, it's really interesting. And it could make people's heart race. Could make people nervous. It's like a roller coaster is what I'm getting. So you could be really good in bed, okay? How is Pisces being viewed in love and commitment? Tell you what, somebody who leads with their heart, somebody who's very emotionally mature, grounded, a kind, compassionate, emotionally giving leader, somebody who people look up to for maybe advice. That's what I'm saying. Like, people see you as some kind of guru or something. It's like, that's inspirational, that's inspiring, right? Emotionally grounded. Some of you guys could be very family oriented or relationship oriented is what I'm getting. People view you as somebody who's very healing also. You could be the type of person who like sort of knows when to give emotions to somebody and when not to, when to sort of pull them back. So people can really lean into you for support because you're going to be that type of person who it's like, you're not really going to overgive or undergive is what I'm getting. Some of you guys have like a very sort of jovial energy about you as well. You could be somebody who's very emotionally giving, but again, you have control over that. You're not just gonna freely give your love away to somebody. You know when is the time, when's the right time, when's the time and place, when it's appropriate, you know, when it is fitting for a connection, when it's not, okay? So again, if it's just a passionate thing, it's just a passionate thing, you know, and if it is something that is worth, you know, building off of, then that's when I'm going to give my, you know, all of my heart or lead with my heart in this situation. It's not to say that you're not, you know, there's that happy medium, okay? Very appropriate, okay? People view you as somebody who's very funny. You just hook people very easily, you know. It's you have something very addictive about you. Maybe it's like your personality. You could have an addictive personality, an addictive, you know, funness to you, right? Where it's like, this person just makes me feel carefree or like light as a feather, you know. It's easy, it's natural, it's fun being around you, and that is a breath of fresh air. I feel like a kid again. So you could make people feel like, you know, butterflies all over again, or you could be the type of person who like makes people feel like they're, you know, the first time ever, you know, being in love or something like that. I don't know. Highly intuitive. You know, a lot of people are grateful for the lessons that they learned in situations with you, when dealing with you. You teach people a lot about love, about morals, about commitment. You definitely are the type of person who's not really going to break on your morals, right? Like, you can have a strong moral compass, right? Again, very traditional values, something like that. So that's not to mean that there's not a fun side to you, because there absolutely is. Again, there's that contradiction that comes through, but maybe you're like a walking contradiction. I'm not really sure. You could end up in contradictory relationships and things like that. So maybe you're prone to that. I'm not really sure, but I see somebody who's very patient, balanced, intuitive. You move very quickly. You move with speed based off of your intuition. So it's going to be based off of your intuition more over logic. So it doesn't always have to make sense to everybody else. It's just, what feels right to you. And so you could be the type of person who it's like, again, you date somebody, you go on a date one time. Maybe there was some attraction, passion, chemistry, something, but maybe something felt off and it's like, nah. And maybe everybody's like, well, why did you think it was off? So you could be talking to your friends. How'd your date go with so-and-so? And you could go, well, it was going good, but then, maybe you have a tendency to notice red flags easily with that Page of Wands that came through. So you could pick up on red flags quite easily or very quickly. You catch on to things very quickly. So there could be something, you could be like, well, it was going fine, but then, I just decided that, and maybe you don't date them again. And there could be people that are like, well, why wouldn't you give it a try if it went good? Like, why wouldn't you go on a second date? I just, you have certain boundaries, or you could be the type of person who's like, you're going to move with the quickness when you feel like something feels right for you or like it's meant for you too. So again, you could notice the green flags in situations as well. Like, that's a good thing. So again, very hard to sort of get anything past you, is what I'm getting. So then there could be people who are like, well, it doesn't make sense. You literally just went on like one date with this person and now all of a sudden you guys are like taking things too fast. Like, you need to slow down. That's a red flag. And it's like, you could just be very intuitive, tapped in, connected to your higher self is what I'm getting. You could be the type of person who also like doesn't kiss and tell, or like you sort of keep things to yourself. So you could also be that type of person who I think you sort of allow for safe connections. People sort of know that like whatever happens, and it's between the two of you is what I'm getting. So you just, some of you guys could be viewed as somebody who's like no longer dabbling in like the dating pool though, and you could be focused on, again, quality over quantity. I'd rather have quality connections with people than quantity. Again, maybe you don't have a high body count, or even if you do, it's like maybe you're breaking away from that or something like that. There's something about you being somebody who has gone through several betrayals in your life where you've been hurt back to back to back or over and over and over again, maybe by different people or by the same person. It's like you've just been through hell and back, right? But there's something about you sort of rising up and still having some sort of belief in love or relationships, and knowing that if it's worth investing into, it's worth building off of. So again, you just build with intention, okay? It's like you may be, again, stepping away from, random dating or things like that. Some of you guys could be casual dating, stuff like that. Here's the thing, people who you've even casually dated have this tendency to get really hooked on you. And it's like the rug gets pulled out from under them. They just don't expect for that to happen, for them to fall the way that they do. Or even if it's not casual, say it's like a relationship that you've been in for a long time, like you make people feel young again. And that's an addictive feeling, right? It's very addictive. Some people could view you as somebody who is addicted to starting over, is what I'm getting. So again, how many times do you have to be betrayed for you to just be done with a situation? Some people could view you as somebody who is addicted or is caught in some sort of toxic cycle of starting over. Some of you guys could have really good like makeup sex is what I'm getting to. So people could have a tendency to sort of get hooked on that, or you could be prone to connections that wind up in betrayal because people want that start over energy with you. People become addicted to your laugh is what I'm getting, and the way that you make them feel. You make people feel good. You have this vibe to you. You could be the type of person who gets in like when you are in a connection, it is like a spiritual connection. It's not just on a physical level. There's a very spiritual bond or connection that you have with people. Okay, so you could open people up to spirituality and things like that. You could be the type of person that sort of initiates that or facilitates that exploration for people. Okay, I don't know what you do, but there's just something about you that triggers something in people and that makes people want to learn more about spirituality and religion and metaphysics or literally whatever. It feels like spiritual awareness. Okay, yeah, people view you as somebody who sort of changes their life when dealing with you or after dealing with you. Like their life will never be the same after dealing with you. So you could facilitate spiritual awakenings for people. You could open doorways for people. You change people's lives. Like they'll never be the same after dealing with you. You're different. You are so much different than people anticipate or expect. Yeah, you really sort of transform people. Transform an old way of life, an old way of being, an old state of consciousness for people. It's like after dealing with you, when being connected to you, they feel like reborn. It's like a rebirth. You could facilitate ego deaths. You could facilitate new chapters, new ways of life for people. Okay, you change people. They're like not the same after dealing with you. It's like a whole new life-changing experience. When dealing with you. So if you're in a relationship or past lovers and things like that, some of you could be viewed as somebody who is currently going through some sort of ending or change and transformation in your life, whether that be within a connection or closing the door on certain connections with people. Yeah, there's something really like addictive about you. I keep getting that. Like, you could be the type of person who's very emotionally grounded and secure within yourself, and you could be somebody who is not super emotionally influenced, and so, you know, at least you don't present to be that way. You present to be somebody who's very sort of like has a calm emotional demeanor about you. But you could be the type of person who's like very emotionally supportive and giving. You lead with your heart. People can look to you for emotional support and advice and wisdom, and know that you're going to love and take care of them. But you are also the type of person who knows when to take that away, when it's not warranted, when it's undeserved. Not in a mean way, not in like a you know, a bad way, but it's more like I know when to extend this and when to not extend this. And people have a tendency to get hooked on you because of that. That's part of one reason why. Okay, I think there's several reasons why people have a tendency to get hooked on you, but it's like, some of you guys could be into like some taboo things too. Taboo is going to be different for everybody, okay? So maybe you have some kind of kinks, or maybe you have like, you do something for work that's taboo, or maybe you do something that traditional society says goes against the rules, right? Again, more contradictory energy that's coming through here. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. This is like an abrupt ending, but I'm starting to get tired. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Y'all going to have to let me know how this resonated, and have a good night.